I had rolled the back seat up out of the way in order to get into the area where that plastic piece bolts to the body of the car. And while we're at it, let's talk about that plastic piece. I got two plastic pieces on this car. I got this one right here. And I got that one on the back that I just took off. Now, I wasn't aware they made this kind of plastic stuff in 32 or 31, whichever it was when this car was made, but it's on there, and I really doubt that there's anybody out there making reproduction pieces like that for this car. It's a rare car. So I don't know how that came to be, but it is what it is. And this was the same way. There's a big piece over there that's plastic or fiberglass, but I don't think in 32 they had plastic or fiberglass. Although, you know what? This one's, I believe that's metal. So maybe that's metal, and it's just got Bondo over it so that it looks like it's plastic. I bet that could be more likely to be true. Yeah, see, that's metal right there. So I bet that's what that is. It's not a plastic piece. It's a metal piece that's been patched up over the years. That makes sense. Okay, that solves that mystery. Driving this car, well, I went to Calhoun Falls yesterday to go over and see Jeff. We poked around when he had his Studebaker, his 61 or 2, the newer one, up on the list. So I shot a little bit of the underside of that. I'll show you that if you want to.
Figure out the wiring on it. But I had read that you would have like a 4-second delay on it. So if I hadn't known that when I was trying to figure out the wiring, if I had read somewhere it's got like a 5-second delay on it.
Yeah. But you know, I was testing it after doing that steering, and that worked out real good. I'll shoot you some video of me driving too. And then I went over there again this morning. We have a men's breakfast over there at a guy's house that restores Model A's. So I drove it twice, and boy, I really enjoyed it. It really drove good. I felt good about it. It's not quite as quiet as I want it to be yet, but it is quieter than it was. And I was looking online. It's possible to buy an additional muffler insert and pipe, and these pipes could be a little longer. Like right now they end actually before you can get past the front door, so if that was another foot longer, it wouldn't hurt a thing. In fact, it might look kind of cool. You know, if that pipe, as it is, that pipe goes to there, but if it had it's got a foot long addition here, if it had another foot back here, it wouldn't hurt a thing. So anyway, so I'm thinking on the lines of that, you know, it's just about how much money can I afford to spend and all, but thinking on the lines of a few different things I could do to make this kind of a daily driver. But Here's one of the reasons why you might not want to put white seats in your car. See how that's getting dirty already? And of course, when I'm working on this car, I'm driving it around a lot, and I don't always wear absolute clean clothes. So yeah, it's something. It's going to be a challenge. You need to wash that every so often. Now here's another thing I hadn't talked about yet, but this back seat, I had to take the back seat out to get that skirt off the back of the car in there. And this back seat wasn't even attached. It was just sitting in there, literally. And I'm thinking about taking the back seat out and leaving it out. It might be nice just to have this space back here for storage space. You could put a toolbox, you could put a cooler, you could put a spare tire back here if you was going on a long trip. If somebody wanted to sit back here, well, I mean, I suppose you'd get into all kind of laws and problems with letting somebody sit back here without a seat or a seat belt or something like that, but I don't know, it didn't come with seat belts, so I don't know. But I do have an option if I wanted to take that seat out and leave that open and think about putting something else back there. You know, could do that. All right, there's another thing on my mind, and it goes along with this skirt, which is that piece right there that goes over where the gas tank is. I was looking at Pete, Swamp Pete, or my friend Pete, or whatever we want to call him, online, and he was putting a stabilizer in a 34 Ford, and I got to thinking, that's what I need. I need a stabilizer. And what it is, it's basically a bar that bolts to the axle and comes back here, and a pin goes up and down, and you run that pin to your frame, and you can adjust that pin up and down to make the stabilizer a little firmer, and it keeps the car from rocking. This car, and any car that's as high as this, it's pretty stable, but when you hit a few odd bumps, it kind of rocks a little bit from back to top to back, and one of them stabilizers would probably do a lot of good to make this work. So I may leave that off. I'm going to think about it a while, because especially if I'm going to order a stabilizer, I might leave that off till I get the stabilizer, because boy, it'd be real easy to come back in here if I had to drill a hole in the frame for a stabilizer bar to mount to. That would be sure easy with that off of there. So I'm not in a rush to put it back on. I might leave it off for a little while till I figure out whether I'm going to try putting a stabilizer in this or not. All right. Well, let me just say, I'm very happy with everything I've done so far. I was listening to the sound of this car in my videos after I put that exhaust pipe on there, and I decided I liked the sound of it a lot. I did fit this little nylon piece right here, and I don't know how long that'll stay put, but this pipe will sometimes bump under the frame there. So I just kind of wedged that in there, and if it stays, I might pop it out and paint it black, put it right back in there. Oh, the joy. It's a homemade car, so I can do anything I want with it because it's mine. So there's all that. I could do too, I'm just sitting here looking at that dash, and it's dirty. That steering column's dirty, and that shifter knob is dirty, and I don't know if anybody's cleaned it, Knowing Mike the way I do, he's kind of like me. Mike was a little dirty, He could have very easily drove this thing around and never really tried to clean that up and wash it. So I suppose if somebody spent a little time doing a little detailing on this car, it would be nice. Something to think about. All righty then.